What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games, or later on your favorite podcast service. B. Dave Walter does the Forbidden Dance, and Erin M. Evans talk about the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're with us live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. But until we get to that... Oh, what?
I legit thought she was about to do the Forbidden Dance. I thought Erin was about to drop it. I was like, oh, let's go.
But until then, Erin, Dave, take it away.
I am Erin M. Evans. I'm the author of the forthcoming Empire of Exiles and the Brimstone Angels saga, featuring 3 of your favorite Idle Champions Frida, Havilar, and Mahen. I'm also a content designer for Idle Champions, and I play Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers.
I am B. Dave Walters. I say words about things. I'm the dancer of the Forbidden Dance. It is the second holiest day of the year today, May the 4th. So may the 4th be with you. Obviously, the holiest day of the year is tomorrow, Revenge of the 5th. But today is its own special occasion, so it is a confluence of things.
It is. This is our 75th episode. It literally feels like we just started doing this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we've had breaks and like missed a week or so. Like how is that? Time is a lie.
I reject linear time and all the other lies of the Jedi. That is true.
Listen, I got a lot of Jedi over here, okay?
Well, you keep them over there.
I even have Darth Revan as a Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, see how that worked out for him, though. So, I will say, going way back when, we originally signed on for 30 episodes, and we were like, we don't have 30 episodes worth of stuff to talk about.
Jokes on cast us.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was always a wonder. Is like, how long is the show gonna go on? I don't think we thought we were gonna go to 75.
And I think, having looked into a lot of these things, there's so much more.
Yeah.
It's mostly it comes into like where it's explicit in the game and something we can take out versus when we go, and this is related, which I think is fun, and I'm glad we get to do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
It is like lore kombucha. Like we just scrape off the just yummy top layer of slime. Yeah.
Oh, God. Wow.
I can't drink kombucha and it wasn't found out how it's made.
Yeah, me neither.
I was into it. Yeah.
Like, despite us not knowing if we were gonna go for, I'm so damn happy that we did. I love doing this show. This show is so much fun.
Also, I would be remiss to mention the third holiest day of the year, which was already the holiest day of the year, but already happened, that Monday was Erin M. Evans' birthday.
Yeah, was.
I've already sang to you
That's
twice.
true.
I won't do it again.
Tune into Writing About Dragons and shit to
If you want to hear B-Day's happy birthday,
It's true.
that you should tune into Writing.
Mhm,
It's a glorious thing.
It was for a glorious person. Happy birthday.
But yeah, so we thought we'd do like a little like, hey, we're gonna celebrate 75 episodes by kind of like talking about the show and what we love about it and whatnot. But we want to hear what y'all love about the show, what some of your favorite moments, some of your favorite lore and whatnot is, and we can talk about those. So drop those into the chat, and our awesome mod Jordan will grab them and put them in a little text doc. But yeah, I think where I want to start with this, because I don't think we've ever talked about it. How did this show start? Like where did it start for y'all?
Dylan sent an email and said, "Do you want to be on a show?"
Do you remember how this came up for you, B. Dave?
Are you actually here?
It's true. I've said multiple times, if I woke up and it was still like late 2015, a lot of things in life would make sense. If I'm like, oh, okay, oh yeah, all right, none of that should have made sense. Let me see. I knew I was already doing business with CNE Games because of the chess codes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd already done. Freely had already come into the game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Dylan hit me. I know I didn't pitch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was all CNE's idea.
Yeah, because I'd already done like some stuff and some streaming stuff with the company, so like I knew everybody over there. And they were like, would you like to, nerd out for
Yeah.
30 weeks in a row? And I was like, sure. Because I didn't know either of you guys.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't know if I've even told you all about this, about how I got involved with it. I didn't pitch this show, but I pitched Eric Jordan, the CEO, a bunch of shows. We had Eric on 2 episodes of Difficulty Class, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the shoot your shot thing, and I'm gonna send Eric Jordan a big old email full of a bunch of weird ideas for streams and stuff. And I sent it to him during his vacation that I didn't know about. And but when he got back, he was just like, hey, none of those are what we're looking for. Do you have any more ideas? And I was like, oh. So I freaked out for like 40 minutes and then typed an even longer email and sent it to him. And he's like, I'm gonna put you in touch with Dylan. And then Dylan and I got in a call, and he essentially was just like, yeah, we're not gonna do any of that, but there's a show coming up that we want you to host.
Do you remember any of those ideas? Was there any that you're like, this one, I love this idea?
I mean, it's kind of funny because now I do the writing the webcomic for Pack Antics, but like I pitched an idea of essentially doing a webcomic and a stream that were both connected, and then the characters from it being in the game. Well, now I just write a webcomic about the characters that are in the game. But yeah, no, there was a bunch of, there was like a variety show one in there that like kind of did an amalgamation of a bunch of different things that we do now. One of them was Lee tries to teach me how to do pancake art over Zoom.
That would only lead to chaos. That's a short film. Yeah.
But yeah, like at that time, like I'd only done podcasting and stuff, and they're like, hey, do you want to host a show with Erin M. Evans and B. Dave Walters? I'm like, I'm sorry, what? But I'm like, do you think I'm cooler than I
am? Yes, Trevor, you are cooler than you think you are.
But yeah, and then we did the Zoom meeting where we all met up to talk about doing the show, and that was we just started riffing off each other. But yeah, that was how we all got together and whatnot, and then doing the actual show. I mean, that was the wild thing is that we didn't prep for that episode.
I did.
You prepped. We didn't collectively prep. Yeah. We just went in there and was like, all right, we're gonna talk about Liar's Night, and then Aaron was like, I made a game, and we're like, thank God.
Yeah, because here's what's funny. My sweet beans here, which now you've come to know us all.
Oh no.
Would stress a lot in the early days. And I know it's going to come as a complete and total shock that I never did ever. And so it was like, what are we going to do? I was like, we'll talk about some stuff. Be all right. And then like, I'm like, I'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, turn on the camera. Let's go.
If I remember correctly, before the first episode, Aaron and I were freaking out, and you just went, you two are adorable.
That's all right.
But you are.
Yes.
You are adorable.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you got a little more flight time, and you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then the stream broke, and I freaked out. Then you took the blame for it, and I was just like, B. Dave Walters is the best person on the earth.
I want you to know why I did that, because I watched the existential horror on your face. I mean, I watched you dying in front of me. And I was like, let me use a reaction to interrupt here. Yeah. Whoops. I messed up everything. Silly me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it all worked out.
It did. Before I ask any more questions about the show, we actually do have a few answers already from chat. And I know I usually leave these for later, but whatever. It's a celebration episode. We're doing what we want. Steel Wolf 171 says favorite moments gotta be Gratz moments.
hey, bro. What's his name? Steel Wolf? Is that what his name is?
Steel Wolf.
Steel Wolf. That's a super sweet name, buddy. And I want you to know the Gratz smiles upon you. Yeah, like it's just all. I just want you to know that just like all your lifts are gonna be PRs, and like everything you do from now is gonna be successful, bro. May your pants remain tight yet flexible.
When you open your fridge later and there's a single natty ice chilling in there, you know it's from me.
It's an unending natty ice. You just keep you look in the cup and it looks like there's only like half. There's like one in there, but you keep drinking. It's never gonna run out, bro.
I feel like it's warm. I feel like it's also warm, Natty.
Oh, it's 1,000% warm natty ice from Gratz. 1,000%. Yeah.
Kaz just 335 says champions lore is madness and laughter. What's not to love? Oh, and sometimes we learn stuff.
Sometimes we learn stuff. That should be our new tagline.
Yes.
We'll take off a wizard did it and make it sometimes we learn stuff.
Mm-hmm. True.
Oh wait, that's another good point. That was what you originally pitched the show title to be.
Yeah, they said, what should it be called? And I said, I've always wanted to have a world building podcast called A Wizard Did It. And I think what Dylan actually said was, that title's too cool, you keep it. But then it came up with the little logo on there. I was like, okay, that's good, because I'm not going to do 2 of these.
Yeah. And now we do 2 of these. Well, not lore podcast, but
true. It's not a world building podcast, although occasionally we talk about world building.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a few times. Let's see. Stabigail the Kobold. My enjoyment of the show started with, well, lore. Lore is interesting, and now I listen to lore ask questions, and I can enjoy breaking Treavor.
All true.
Listen, I enjoy laughing, okay? So I think one of the things I wanted to ask y'all, what has been one of your favorite episodes? Well, I guess topics, like topic of lore to look into.
I got the burgeoning romance between Orcus and the Raven Queen that somewhere along the way just the world accepted. Yeah. Like, there's been a few things we've just kept saying and people have just been like, well, that's a thing now, you know?
Oh. Yeah. And we've bled it into other things, right? It's a Bardic Inspiration song. It was in ICP3. And also, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but in Grand Tour 15, if you haven't played it yet, they encounter Orcus. And Balef does some fast talking. And he says, we're here with a message. And Orcus is like, from where? The Abyss? The pause. Shadowfell? And I want you all to read as much as possible into that ellipsis.
Is that where the
also,
anomalously
boombox.
I was about to say, is that where the anomalously boombox shaped item is?
Yep.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I was talking before that when I started working as content designer, one of the things that they said they were interested in doing was including more stuff from the streaming shows. Just, you do cool references or things that make these pieces feel connected. And so when Orcus was in there, I said something about having a boombox in there. And then when we got to the discussion with the artists about the background, it initially got skimmed over. I said, hang on, there's a boombox in the background and you need to do that. So it is a subtle boombox. But guys, if you saw that thrown and thought, hey, is that a boombox? It is a boombox.
It is a boombox.
Yep.
Yeah, I've several times thought about going back and watching that episode again because I'm just like, I don't remember a lot of it because I was laughing so damn hard.
Sprung out like Athena.
Yep. Oh yeah, it was also referenced in Black Dice Society because of V.
Yep.
There's while I was editing it, there was a really quick moment where V was just like, yeah, there's something about Orcus and the Raven Queen. I don't know.
Yep, she did. She did some heavy lifting for us there to mention that. She sure did. Yep.
Love it.
So at some point though, that's
The
gonna
way
be like,
that whole campaign makes sense. Not Black Dice Society, Orcus's campaign against the Raven Queen, just to be clear.
yeah.
If you manage to make all of Black Dice Society actually hinge on this pairing in the end,
look, okay, first of all,
my esteem for you would somehow, as high as it is, manage to increase at least 1,000.
Spoiler alert, okay? That's I'm just saying. That's not where it's going. You gotta wait and see.
Oh, jeez.
You know, I will see. Here's what's funny. You're joking, but in one of the pieces of bonus content we just shot, Brother Uriah meets the Raven Queen, and she basically tells him, "I put the 6 of you together."
Yeah, Noro just read the assignment and wrote it.
Quite. I mean, speaking as somebody that just played the Raven Queen for 5 episodes, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But Brother Uriah meets the Raven Queen, and she basically tells him, I put the 6 of you together, but she hasn't told him why. So as of now, it is not Orcus related. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's not that.
I just can't wait for like a while from now when there's like another stream that we have nothing to do with and something about Orcus comes up and people in the chat are just like, but where's his boombox? Where's his love for the Raven Queen? And it just confuses everyone on that show.
Yep.
Have to admit, big loop back. I saw that picture that Nora posted of her as the Raven Queen, and I really wanted to be like, best frenemies! But I was like, she's not going to know what that means, and she's going to think I'm a crazy lady.
That is true. But again, doesn't make it inaccurate.
It's true. Let's see. Rex Verde says, favorite moment anytime you all break from laughter.
It's true.
Happens a bit.
This is a very fun show.
I must say, the clip of Dragonlance and Dragonlances and dragons named Lance, I've probably watched that 50 times this week because I was looking for something completely different and it came up on the timeline.
Yeah. Similarly, Kitten Lord came up on.
Oh God, Kitten Lord was so good.
Yep.
I actually, when I was organizing my files the other day, and I found the picture of the dude with the cats making the beard and the hair, and I was just like, we have fun on that show.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? I remember another question. Okay. What is a topic that we haven't covered yet that you hope that we do one day?
Sorry,
no, please, after you.
So what just occurred to me that we haven't covered that I think is interesting and I don't know a ton about and I would like to know more about is Yuan Ti.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't done that one.
I do like them. They're cool. Got that giant snake god dreams and shit.
Have we actually done a Mind Flayer episode?
We did.
That was the one I wasn't here for.
Yeah.
Look at the brain on Brad.
Look at the elder brain on Brad.
Yep. Shout out to Encephalithid. Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem with having done 75 of these things, especially with so many tangents. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked how often that we're like, have we talked about this thing? And it's like, we did, but we didn't say much about it. Or we did, but that was a year and a half ago, you know? Yeah. That's, yeah, I would, I think personally, because, you know, I can't have a vested interest in this, a deeper dive into Strahd von Zarovich himself. Because we talked about Ravenloft, but we didn't get, you know, neck deep in Strahd.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, neck deep in Strahd. Or more Spelljammer now that Spelljammer's confirmed and I got to say it and can retire happy.
I still love that you got to say it.
I got to say it. No, so let me tell you something else here. Now that you're getting a little behind the scenes. We shot that Spelljammer part for D&D Direct 4 or 5 times. And then I was just like, Spelljammer confirmed. And everybody's eyes lit up like, it is Spelljammer confirmed. And then we shot it again with me saying, but it was like watching the wave of awareness wash through the room. Yeah. And then we shot it where I said it. Yep.
Yep. And what's great about that is how many Spelljammer confirmed jokes we've made on the show.
If you notice, there was a sharp drop off in me doing it a couple of months ago. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we don't.
There's a lot of areas of the realms that we haven't talked about because the game is so focused generally on the Sword Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be fun. Some of them are really cool.
Yeah, that is true. Do we ever do the one about like big name dragons like Imrith and Klauth and stuff?
We maybe rescheduled that.
We didn't do one about dragons by name, but we did like dragons by type, and some of those things came up when we were like, we're talking about metallic dragons, we're talking the most metal dragons, or we're talking about chromatic dragons, which are actually the most metal dragons. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the Dracoliches are the most metal of dragons.
Let me tell you something that happened yesterday. As I carefully dodge NDA bullets, I was recording a thing on set, and somebody was walking away with Tiamat, the chunky girl,
Chunky girl.
and they stumbled with it, and her wings came off, and they were physically falling. Like this human being was physically falling, but her wings were on the ground. And I need you to know, I lunged forward and saved Tiamat's wings without catching that person.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Hand to God, I did. I was like,
Wow.
yoink! And like somebody even joked about the fact that, of course, you were more concerned about Tiamat. I'm like,
The dog lady.
I'm like, yeah, it was. Yeah, right. Apparently, she doesn't like you, or you wouldn't have fallen when you were carrying her. Think about it. What's wrong with you? Yeah. All praise be to the Dark Lady. Yes.
I have my Tiamat mini. I was sitting over there on a desk, and my cat has recently taken to going over to her wings, looking at the talons on them, and going, "Well, that looks like a chew toy."
Got to put some bitter yuck on those things, man.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. God, yeah. I do think that like the big old dragons would be an interesting one.
You know, it is interesting to me though, from a lore standpoint, is often as individual personalities show up and affect this world. You know, Elminster, Vecna, Tasha, Sararak. You know, they just pop up and just do things. Besides Tiamat and Bahamut, who sucks, there's not really like, oh, that dragon's back again. You know what I mean? Like the dragons tend to kind of be like a one-way trip.
There's a few. What's his name? I want to say his name is Brimstone because I feel
Unless
like
the Draco Lich is he an angel?
Gets up in my SEO.
That makes him not an angel.
No.
It's go. It's no.
Exactly. No. Brimstone.
Yeah.
Just with like a rolled up newspaper.
So actually,
like, no,
so this is a dragon
no.
that's in like two novel series. Oh,
Right.
that guy too. Captain Elithel, also known as Brimstone, a vampiric smoke dragon.
Oh,
But I'm also forgetting that the one that he gets kind of intermingled with is I hate that's trying to say this name, Chazar, who's a red dragon that causes a lot of headaches, and I think becomes a no, he doesn't become a Dracolich. He's tight with Tiamat though. He might even briefly be like an avatar of Tiamat.
Well, it's the same thing. Like I brought back Hundar and Skardarok from like the OG days for a Darken Wish, which back over yonder, you know. But again, I mean, for the most part, you know, Hundar shows up, destroys Mintarn, and leaves, and then they're like, "Oh, he might be back. I don't know. There's smoke in the mountain." You know, like that's just, you know. But you know what I mean? Like there's not like, Hundar's at it again. Like how many times has a Sararak been like, you know, shooed away? Yeah.
He's a chosen of Tiamat for the record.
I'm sure he's.
Alaskar Bandastos is another dragon
Gazoon
that comes
tight.
up sometimes. I love that name. It's fun to say.
I can see though that because a lot of times conflict in D&D results in death, so it's implied if you're a living thing and you're at conflict, you probably got killed in that story, and then that's why we don't hear from you anymore. Versus like liches and gods and Draco liches and stuff. Yeah.
I think too that there's a lot of, especially when you look back at like sort of original D&D where dragons were, it seems like dragons were more like clearly a monster you attack. Unless like a very powerful personality who might also want other things from you. And so they start to occupy a different space. But at that point, everybody's kind of keen to make their own dragons, right?
Yeah.
You're not going off of, well, Vecna was real popular. Let's use Vecna again. It's sort of like people like dragons. Let's make up a new dragon. So I think you're right, too, in a meta sense that like it's just as easy to like pop a new dragon in because there's very few people who are like, ooh, Alaskar Bastos, the Dragon King of Unther. I love the way he interacts with Gilgame. I want more of that. They're like, ooh, he's big bone worm. And you know what? You could just make another big bone worm and not worry about trying to make all the lore match.
It's true.
Yep, that is true. I mean, Hey, I've gone on record multiple times saying Dungeons and Dragons has surprisingly few dungeons or dragons.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I do think one of the things that we haven't dived into that is in the game, but I think is, well, the thing is the champions of the hall, but I think it would be weird to do that one and not try to get Bob Salvatore on to just be like, hey, you made this.
Yep. You might have some insight.
Some dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, so then there's the it's just an hour of just be like, all right, just how do you say Drist? Did we say it right? How do you say Menzo? We just ask him how to say all the words.
Excuse me, it's Menzo Baranzan.
Manzo Baranzan.
Thank you.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
That would be fun.
That would be. Let's see. Obo Lauren says, so is the key that Mask gave Orkira just the key to unlocking the Raven Queen's heart? That just maybe?
Someone write this fan fiction.
Yes.
I'm just saying, did they try and use it that way?
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Who knows? Actually, I know exactly what the key's for, but it's in. You know what? It's not that. There you go.
Yeah.
It's not that. I will tell you. Okay, since we're among friends, this is our 75th episode. The key is to something very near and dear to my heart personally. Tell you that. Take that to mean what you will.
Okay. I have a guess. I'll tell you after the show.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna put it in chat right here.
And I'll just see if I'm right. I'm just gonna say here, and this is great for the audio listener folks. I knew it. I knew it. I fucking sorry.
Yep.
Knew it.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
It's gonna be one of those things, dear friend, that when you finally see it, you're gonna be like, of course that's what it was. Why wouldn't it have been that? Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it is not Grant's sweet ass pool cue cabinet. You know? Or Grant's sweet ass Camaro. Grant's got a lot of sweet ass everything. Camaro. He does. Yeah. He does. But just that 70s airbrush, it is legit like the Aqua Teen Hunger Force 2 Wicked car.
Lord,
yeah.
Snow until Orkira. Let's see. Cassius335 says, wait, so for the Black Die Society, Raven Queen is basically their version of Dungeon Master.
But it's substantially hotter. Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Oh my god! Now I need it where it's recut the intro to the cartoon, but it's the Raven Queen. He's like, "Do not worry, brother Uriah."
I'm like narrator voice. Worry a lot, brother Uriah. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Let's see. Cash335 comes back, says, question, now he's in Idle Champions. Anyone else curious to see which stream gets to fight Venger first?
Here's the thing. If I were to put Venger in a story, like I look back, okay, you know me, I always talk about how I have no concept of nostalgia. But where I think nostalgia adjacent things come up for me are like those 80s bad guys aren't a joke to me. They're terrifying. Yeah. Like Megatron, Skeletor, and Venger, like they should be a problem. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if Venger shows up in your game, he's there to wreck face. You're not going to be like, oh, we got this guy. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you do not. Yeah. So... yeah.
Yep, he just grabs a bunch of magic items, puts them in a ball, and you can fight Tiamat now. So that's just how it works.
Yep.
I'm not here to make the rules.
Yep. He's like, I got one horn and I'm fresh out of patience. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Foolish Genius 89 question. How about an episode on the lore of edition changes? They do some pretty crazy things to justify new lore.
I feel like that is a very fraught topic.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like, why did this happen? Because it needed to.
Oh, well, I've said, obviously I made peace with 4th edition because it brought me Erin M. Evans, the gift that keeps on giving. In previous games, like 1st edition to 2nd edition, even 2nd edition to 3rd edition, it wasn't that the story changed.
Yeah.
In fact, because the first 2 editions were relatively story light. They were relatively vanilla. Again, Forgotten Realms was a place. It wasn't the place at the time. It's just like, here's some stuff that happens in a dungeon. That's weird. Sararak's at it again. So. So I feel like it was, even though there was elements of these things, they were kind of like data points in the first 2 editions that kind of began becoming things in the 3rd-ish edition. We say all the time, we're like, that was in the 1st edition. But for the most part, this happened here this time to this person kind of stuff. And then, as a 4th edition, I think it's more just different people telling the story that don't want to be completely beholden to something else in not a conscious change. What I will say, again, carefully trying to navigate some NDA bullets here. No, I'm not gonna say nothing.
Well, here I'll fill that time back with a quick interjection from Catch23, who says fraught topic is my favorite store for controversial T-shirts.
I will say, like, the thing about the lore switch between 3.5 and 4 is that the lore in the Forgotten Realms is a lot. I mean, obviously, we've got 75 episodes of it.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, that was the feedback they were hearing was, this is too much, it's too dense, I don't know how to get into this. And trying to write stories was complex and frequently involved fighting. And so the thought was, hey, maybe we could kind of hit a soft reset so things are a little less overwhelming. That turned out not to make a lot of people happy.
Yeah.
But it did create space to tell some new stories, so I'm not going to poo-poo it. And it didn't undo anything that was before, like it didn't erase them. So
I'll be honest.
I had that argument a lot when it happened, and people wanted to tell me that my tieflings were garbage. So I don't have that argument on the internet anymore.
It's fair.
But anyway, like the intent was to make this something that was accessible. And there are ways in which you can argue, yeah, it went too far, or it chose new players over old players and things like that. But it was sort of like, how do we make this something that isn't going to sort of collapse in on itself, and its audience is going to end up kind of shrinking and ossifying. So
I do think the 5th edition strategy in general of putting out the adventures were foundational to some of the lore, and then the lore making certain assumptions about what did or didn't happen. Like was it Out of the Abyss? Is that the one when Tiamat's like trying to get loose? Isn't that Out of the Abyss?
No, that's Tyranny of Dragons.
Tyranny, well, yeah. Well, Tyranny of Dragons is like, well, you stop her or you don't stop her. But our Idle Champions Trials of Mount Tiamat, our whole premise was like, yeah, what if you didn't?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, then things kind of button hook this way. If she's not stopped. Because I think, again, that is the challenge with this kind of storytelling. Is it can give you a lot of inciting incidents, but there's not necessarily a canonical outcome. I mean, I think there's sort of the assumption the world stays on the rails, but what happened at your table happened at your table. So it gets very, fragmented very quickly.
I will say, though, the changing settings in 4th edition, there's a lot of things from Nintervale that I totally miss and wish were in the Forgotten Realms. Okay, let's see. There was one here that I really liked. This is from Vaxum. Question: how about some lore from you three? What was your first D&D character you remember creating?
I've told this story. It's the Elven Fighter Mage Thief based on Vampire Hunter D.
Wait, a multi-classer from you for your first character?
In the earliest days of the game when it was the absolute hardest? Yeah, exactly. That's why now I'm just kind of like, don't quote the deep magic to me. I was there when it was written. But I mean, full-blown big hat, full-blown big sword, didn't have a talking hand because we couldn't figure out a way to justify that. And his job was, even though he basically was Vampire Hunter D, he was kind of like Judge Dredd. He just sort of had an area he patrolled, like that just had some villages in it that he just kept safe. But he was the law.
I'm the law.
I'm the law.
See, it would have been great if
I am the law.
It would have been great if you had the talking hand, but it talked like Sylvester Stallone.
The hand talked like Sylvester. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the law.
Hang on, Trevor. I don't know if you remember this. Have you ever heard that joke, Trevor? That takes on a very different context in the one that we're discussing. Yes.
Yep.
Right. And that's an inside joke to our inside joke, there, kids.
What about you, Lauren? Lauren is producing. My brain is mush, and I apologize. Erin, do you remember your first D&D character?
Yeah, because I was 23. Because nobody asked me to play D&D, which I don't understand to this day. But when I was 23, my fiance's coworker said, "Hey, we're gonna play D&D. Like it's a nostalgia thing." And I was like, literally never played D&D.
I will miss the nostalgia.
Entire youth drawing pictures of dragons and knights and unicorns and magic ladies and shit. Nobody ever went, "Hey, I know something you would like." I didn't think anybody played it anymore. So we did play one game with a bunch. It was a bunch of adults. There were like 9 people in this party. It was absolute chaos, and we played once before it absolutely fell apart. But I made myself a neutral evil sorceress, half-elf sorceress with a monkey. Her name was Esha, and I don't remember the monkey's name. What I do remember about this, because that's not very fun, is that my husband also played, and my husband does not. He likes to, when he plays video games, he likes to like run around and figure out sort of like what are the edges of the system.
Yeah.
So he did that with D&D and made the DM absolutely crazy. So to start with, he's like, "I want to be an engineer. I want to invent a bicycle." And the DM said, "No, you're a fighter, but you can be a blacksmith." "Why do you join the parties?" "Like, I don't know. She has a monkey. I think I follow her." At which point the DM pointed out I have an 18 charisma. Maybe he's following for other reasons, but the monkey's fine. We leave, we're walking along. I don't remember why we all got together, but we're walking along a trail out of the city alongside a swamp. DM's describing it. Kevin looks at his sheet and he says, "I have climb. Can I climb a tree?" The DM's like, "Why are you climbing a tree?" He's like, "Because I have climb." We were playing 3rd edition, 3.5. He climbs she's like, "Fine, you climb a tree, you look around, there's swamp, you come back down." He starts describing the more, and Kevin's like, "I have jump. Can I jump in the swamp?" The DM says he cannot jump in the swamp. Suddenly some lizard folk come out. They haven't seen us yet, right? They're coming out of the swamp, and we're all deciding what to do. And then Kevin looks up from his sheet and he goes, "I have ride. I want to ride the lizard man." And I thought that the DM was going to explode. I really wish he'd just said, "Sure, go ahead." Let's see what happens. That was the first time I played D&D.
Well, see, what's funny, you said that you didn't play until you were 23. I didn't play till I was 21.
Okay.
And
My sweet summer children.
I know. Well, and I was that terrible person that was just like, I play World of Warcraft, but at least I don't play D&D. Like, you know, I'm not that nerdy. I was wrong. But no, it happened because we were over at a friend's house and he had all the 3.5 books, every single one of them, which was wild because he was in the Navy and moved here from like North Dakota and brought all of them with him. He was dedicated. And he was like, hey, I haven't gotten to play D&D in a really long time. I'd love if we could play. And my friend Kyle and I was like, wow, we're not going to play D&D. And then my friend told my wife that she could make a pirate. And she went, we're going to play D&D. And I went, okay. So I made a human sorcerer named Jace Logan. And I like really quickly fell in love with it. Like pretty much within the first game, even though I almost got murder-fied by a giant squid on a pirate ship, because I was a wee baby sorcerer with 6 HP. But I actually have a little Hero Forge mini of Jace.
Aww.
Yeah. When I did the
it.
Kickstarter, they're like, you get one free Hero Forge color one. I went, I'm gonna make my first D&D character.
So let me ask you this: have you brought that character back in any capacity?
I have not played him, but essentially the plot was he was a noble from an ashamed family, and the DM was going to have him eventually like travel with this group and become king, but we never got to finish that. So I actually have it that he is King of Neverwinter in my games, and my wife and my best friend's characters are there as well.
Excuse me, there is a secret treant that is the King of Neverwinter.
No, I actually made him a
anymore.
super bad big villain in my history, and they took him down.
Did they chop him down with an axe?
I think last I said that he was in the Neverwinter dungeon. I think that's what I said. But
Fine.
Things happen.
I realized just Dagald Neverember is just not as popular as the Raven Queen or even Orcus, but we that's the next thing we got to shoulder across the line. The Dagald Neverember is a secret treant.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's how secret it is.
I don't even remember why Dagald Neverember is a secret treant.
Oh, you know why? Because I believe it is Penelope has an item that is like an acorn from a treant she knows whose name is Neverember. And so we were like, what's up with that? Is Dagald Neverember related to Neverember the treant?
Yeah.
And that is our theory currently, is that they are related.
Right. Completely valid.
Secretly half treant.
I love that.
There it is. Done. Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced again. So yeah, there it is.
Seems extremely plausible.
I will. Oh, go ahead.
That's why I used to keep moving around. People find out. That's why it was good to be a mass lord.
King Neverember, there's a lot of bark on the floor in the throne room. You know anything that's going on with this?
He's like it's potpourri. Get out of here, plebeian.
Now I will say, I flubbed names there. However, we did get a request for what Lauren's answer to this is. Can we summon the voice of Lauren to answer what her first D&D character is?
Verbal components.
Huh?
She might have literally walked away.
Yeah, she might have literally walked away.
She said they can't hear her on the
they can't hear her on the stream. We can't. The summoning ritual failed.
Well, it was partially successful. She's still in here.
Well, we'll tell you what. Maybe that can get brought up later on the sketching hour when you all watch it.
There you go.
So there you go.
See, look at that. That is content synchronicity.
Okay, let's see. Stablegale the Kobold has another question. Are lore affecting plot points in books? For example, L'Oreal bringing drow magic to the surface. And there's a bunch of other explanations or examples with names that I can't pronounce. Are they thought up by authors and approved by the powers that be, or does WotC decide that they want specific plot points to happen and ask the author to include it?
Both things happen. It depends. There are things that existed already that then are added to the books and explained further or explored further, like Asmodeus suddenly being a god in 4th edition. That was something they decided, and I said, okay, here's how it happened, and here are the ramifications of that. There are things where you just pitch an idea and hope you hit them on the right day, and they say, that's cool, we love that. I'm going to use my examples because I was there and I know which things were which.
Mm-hmm.
In Fire in the Blood, the sort of the succession crisis and the way that wraps up and who is ruling Cormyr at the end of all of this that was mine. That was my pitch. Like, let's solve this. Let's move it over here. Having Enlil become the god of the Dragonborn was a concept I pitched, and then Enlil specifically was a suggestion I was given. And then on the other hand, there are things where they'll say, oh, our marketing beats are this, you need to include this if you want to be involved in the marketing beats. So Ashes of the Tyrant involves Gratz appearing and taking over Ajintaram Outpost.
Hey, thanks.
I kind of got told to do Gratz, but
I mean, yeah, because it's awesome, yeah.
I like the way I did Gratz. I will say it that way. So that's the kind of thing where they say, okay, well, you need to make this happen. And the other thing is that the sort of the bigger the book is, so the books that have that came out in hardcover, that came out with a lot of publicity behind them, are more likely to be tied to those adventures, and so then they are more likely to have been said, you need to do these things. And then it is usually up to the author how those things kind of get folded in and come out. There are passes that happen with the editor who knows what's going on, who will say, like, not like this, but like this. Sometimes it doesn't matter because they're also on sort of different schedules. The novel, my memory is that the novels start a lot earlier and they take a little longer than the game books, so that there would be times where things might kind of start and then get finished, and then you find out later, like, oh, you did that. There are things in the Neverwinter campaign setting that don't entirely align with Brimstone Angels, but that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Because once you get to your table, you are building the story. So all of these pieces are experiences in their own right, and then suggestions for how to do cool things at your table.
I will tell you my experience with a Dark and Wish, and this was to extent what I experienced and what I was told is true about the comics. I don't know. I'd have to ask Jim Zub if his experience was different. They're a branch of the family tree, that it's like, just don't openly conflict with anything.
Yeah.
Like I was really given a relatively blank slate. It was like, do almost anything, just don't break anything.
Yeah.
Was my thing. And I chose to go out to the Moonshay Isles and unwittingly kind of tripped over the very first story that was ever written in the Forgotten Realms, Dark Walker on Moonshay, that actually precedes the Forgotten Realms. The novel was acquired and then put into the Forgotten Realms, and it ended up kind of being like a love letter to old school D&D. Yeah, but that was my experience there. I went and wove all this stuff in. It was like, wouldn't it be cool if we did all this stuff? And then felt like, actually, that is cool. So, yeah.
I actually always did wonder how that experience was compared to like the only other like series that I know of that has that sort of thing is Star Wars ones, and I've heard a lot of the authors talk about it. And back in the day, before Disney owned it in the EU, essentially the only time they had to talk to Lucasfilms was if they were going to kill a character that showed up in a movie. And literally, like, I heard stories about like people like if I remember hearing correctly, Bob Salvatore faxed George Lucas saying, "Can I kill Chewbacca?"
That's curious because I was under the impression he was told to kill Chewbacca.
Oh, really?
I also think he was told to kill Chewbacca. I think, but I don't remember. It's apocryphal. Text him, Aaron. We had a lovely.
You just text like, "Did you do it? Did you kill him?"
It's May the 4th. We had a lovely day together, but I didn't get the digits. Yeah, so
that's fair. Okay. I think we got time for one more here. I know this kind of just turned into a Q&A, and I'm okay with that because that's what we love about the show, is just having good conversations.
We've earned it.
Yeah. Fool's Genius 89 says, question for B. David Aaron. Have you ever tried to do something with the lore, but WotC said no?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that I am, well, I'm not going to die mad about it because the past is the past. And I have lots of opportunities to tell cool stories where I do get control. But there was this thing, right, where in 4th edition, the god Denir is gone. And Denir is the god of sort of like record keeping. And more than that, sort of like the record, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Denir is gone. oh, he was Ogma all along kind of thing. Okay, so 5th edition is coming out and we're going, okay, we're going to change some of these things. We're going to bring some of these back. And I have a character, Dalperitor, who is a fallen paladin of Ogma. And I was like, this would be a really cool thing for him to do to find Denier. And one of the things that you got to fix is there's this language in 4th edition, Supernal. Supernal is a weird language because like basically like all the celestial things speak it. And it's what, and also the devils, right? So they speak Supernal. Supernal sounds like whatever language you know, whatever your first language is, unless they decide to make it not intelligible, at which point it sounds like Supernal. So it is this language that has a certain sentience to it. And I'm like, hey, your god of records got turned into a language because of the spell plague. And now we're going to change him back. And isn't this a cool idea?
That's
and they
cool.
said no. Because, and this makes me mad to this day, they were like, how does that explain it on every other world? And I'm like, that is every other person's problem. Because you're not making books in any of those other worlds, and you're not going to explain it anywhere else. But here we are. So la la la, Denier came back for some reason. But if at your table you want it to be because Denier got turned into Supernal and your characters are going to go figure out how to unlock it, I think that's badass and you have my blessing.
That's a very random hill to die on because you're like, this is how it is all across the prime material plane because reasons. That's the only reason any of this matters.
Yeah, no, they just didn't like it for some reason.
Like, again, carefully dodging NDA bullets, I can tell you how spell jamming works has fundamentally altered. Why you can sail through space and what space is like when you get there is very different from how it used to be. Because reasons. Like, there is no just like, oh, there was a thing and it changed. It's like, nah, this is how it is. And you're like, okay. You know, like, everybody's going to, everybody's going to go with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is where we start wrapping things up for our 75th episode. Still can't believe that. Can't wait to do more episodes with y'all. I love doing this dang show.
Yeah. Next up, episode 100.
Yeah. So friends, where can people find you? What awesome things you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can catch me with these guys on our podcast, writing about dragons and shit. New episode comes out today.
Yeah.
And you can watch me on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers for Dungeon Scrawlers, an actual play set in the Forgotten Realms with a bunch of fantasy writers.
Are you concentration checking these days?
Oh yeah, and concentration check on Mondays. 1:30 p.m. Pacific. Come join me on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers and we'll get some work done.
Yeah.
There's something supremely ironic about forgetting the concentration check.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I just talk a lot and not like I don't need to say all the things. Also, pre-order my book.
Links are in the description for writing about dragons and shit.
Hey, just ask yourself. Would I be embarrassed to pitch all my things?
You don't, though. You have 8 million things and you say, follow me on the tweetagram. You're very elegant. I just want your elegance.
Daleks have no concept of elegance.
Did not expect that to go in a Dalek route.
On May the 4th, no less. There it is. Yeah. My life is complete. Yeah. B. Dave Walters, I say words about things. Do, in fact, follow me on the tweetagrams at B. Dave Walters. But in solidarity with my dearest super homie, Erin M. Evans, let's see. Today, Legends of the Multiverse, D&D, Twitch, and YouTube at 5 p.m. Pacific for episode 2 with DM Brennan Lee Mulligan, guest DM. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Black Dice Society on D&D, Twitch, and YouTube is 4 o'clock. They just had their final battle with Strahd von Zarovich. Stuff happened. Yeah. Things happened. Now what's going to come next? Yeah, and then all the other stuff that you said. It's like it's a little light right now. Here's the real reason why I don't say more of the things. Not only do sometimes I forget, but also I have a lot of NDA bullets that I'm like, nope, can't talk about that thing. Can't talk about that thing. Talk about that thing. So
that's fair.
Also, I will just say one last thing because I would be remiss if I didn't. I know it feels very dark and gloomy, like we live in the darkest timeline and some terrible things have happened. And all I got to say is continue to fight on. Don't give up hope. Don't give up sticking together. Don't give up standing up for people who cannot stand up for themselves, because the enemy that seeks to oppress a lot of us is in complete and total lockstep. So be sad. Do not despair. Fight on. Tomorrow's a new day. That's it.
Hell yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at the Treavor. There's an A hiding in there. That is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much to Jordan for modding. Thank you so much to Lauren for producing. Thank you to Codename Entertainment for giving us an opportunity to have some fun, talk about some D&D for 75 episodes. And thank you all for watching and tuning in and listening and all the things that you do. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Be sure to stick around. Mars's Guiding Hand is going to be on at 1. Sketching Hour is on at 3. It's just to have some fun and distract ourselves. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. So until next week, Champions out.